host, Pastor Michael M. Matthews, and I'd like to thank you for joining us this evening and welcoming you in this evening, as well as I always do. I always check. I always go to my to my service to make sure everybody is up and online as we have said, just to make sure everybody is there. Let me see. Just to make sure that everything is up and working for us as opposed as everything should be up and working. Therefore, we got Facebook online. Facebook, I'm just going to make sure that is where we are. Something's not happening there. Okay, good evening. And once again, I'm going to say good evening, everybody, and welcome everybody here. As we go forth on this, we're looking to see, right now, I'm just looking to see if everybody is in place. For something that's not moving, I'll have to find out what's going on with that. My other site is not running as like it's supposed to be running, so we'll worry about that later. Well, today we didn't get into it the last Monday. We had to cancel, so we're going to be doing it this Monday, the first. This will be the first week that we're into it. The Women of the Bible. We may be a little bit behind, but just to let you know, in the Women of the Bible, we're going to be into the Women of the Bible. The women. And I keep saying women of the Bible, but it's women in the Bible, women in the Bible. So we're going to be talking in that, and we're going to be talking tonight about Rahab, the prostitute, or rather say the lady of the night, with Joshua, and we're going to get into that scripture right there, as you see going across the ticker tape, Joshua chapter 2, verse 1 through 21 will be in, and I will be, if I ever read from anytime I read from the Bible, it will be from the New American Standard Bible. I will be reading out of the New American Standard Bible. I'll be reading out of. What else? Want to give my acknowledgement to my overseer, Apostle J. Alexander, who is there. VLF Ministries. That's Victorious Living Faith Ministry out of Brooklyn, New York. She is my overseer of God in Jesus Christ Ministry. She just makes sure that everything stays biblically and we follow guidelines so that we're not all out of order in our as we go forward. I have full control, but she just makes sure that we stay within the guidelines that we need to be in front of. So I'd like to welcome you, share the live, invite your friends, invite family, all those, and I am welcome. Once again, also, I'd like to also welcome those. I'd like to give thanks to all the cities and those states that have been following me since we started this and since we've been going on, and all the people that have the viewers that I have been watching. And I please advise you, I please would love if you would click on, if there's the subscribing, please subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're also on YouTube. You go to you just go to YouTube, youtube.com/ you put the at God in Jesus Christ Ministries 63, and we'll come up and you can see all of the videos that we've done. We have an iHub. You can go to the iHub. We'll see all the videos there. That's where all our announcements will be from now on. All God in Jesus Christ Ministries announcements will be on our iHub. We still got our websites up and running, but we're going to be using more of the iHub more than the website. So everything will be on the iHub. Also on the iHub, we will have the other ministries that I'm associated with that you can also follow in your time. Our radio station, World World Gospel radio stations up and running. We do accept advertise. We do have advertisement on it. If your church is having something and you would like to have it advertised, please send the information to God in Jesus Christ Ministries at gmail.com, and we will get it up on the on the um, on the radio station as well as the iHub as well. We still have our request prayer line that is still up and running. If you have prayer requests that you would like to have on there, please feel free to text the message. Go to 833-943-3973. Text your message and you'll get a prayer request back to you. We also have a prayer request on the iHub as well, so you can go there as well. So you can follow us Sunday mornings at 8:00 a.m. We have our Sunday morning service, Sunday morning sermon service, which is only 1 hour. We have our Monday night Bible study, which is we pick various topics from the Bible, and sometimes it's a 4th series, sometimes a 5 series, sometimes it's a 12 series. It depends on what I'm teaching in. That's on Monday nights for right now. For these couple of Mondays going forward, we'll be at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and whatever time your local time is. So we'll be at that time from this point on until further notice. Our Saturday Bible study will always still be at 7:30 Bible study. We are working on the micro school that we're looking to formulate, the micro school, which means you will be learning about the Bible, but you'll be learning about it in a sort of like a more group setting where you'll be able to come on and ask questions. We'll be talking in reference to various reading topics, such as first class will be Genesis, and you'll be reading in Genesis, and then when you come into the class, we will be asking questions about various things of those chapters that we read to enhance you in the understanding of the Bible. All this is just for you to get the understanding of the Bible. It's not to convert you from any other religion that you're doing or any denomination that you are, whatever denomination you're, that denomination. We just want to get you to be more versed in the Bible, and that is basically the plan. That's the whole plan. That's the whole purpose of me doing this. It's just to get you to understand what the Bible is saying, how to go about reading it. Like we said, when you could read it, if you're in the King James, which I would also suggest that you can keep your King James, but get yourself like I have the New American Standard Bible, and maybe another various Bible to help you when you're reading the King James, because a lot of the words are in the King James can mislead you when you're doing any of the research, because the word doesn't mean what you think it. Back then it meant one thing. Now it means so different. So I would prefer you have your King James, your study Bible. You always get a study Bible, and your regular. Like I have the New American Standard. If you have the Easy Read or any other, that would be perfect for you. Other than that, we're going to get ready to get into the book of the Women of the Bible. So we'll be Varys, and I'll give you a rundown of what we're going to be doing at the end of this. I'm going to pray us in, and then we're going to get started. Heavenly Father, as we come before you tonight, as we begin to get into your word, may the word resonate with each and every heart and each and every person that's on this live. We thank you for waking us up this morning and allowing us to go about our daily activities. We pray for those who have lost anyone or that is going through any issues or problems. Heavenly Father, strengthen us in our knowledge and our wisdom, and give us the strength and knowledge and wisdom to make the correct decisions as we go forth in our lives. And we say this in your Son's name, in Jesus Christ. Amen. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Now, Joshua, as we know, Joshua was like Moses's like he was second in command. He was one of Moses's loyal helpers, along with his brother Aaron. If you ever watched the movie, I'm just going to throw it out. If you ever watched the movie, you saw Joshua in um, the Ten Commandments. So Joshua was Moses' like Moses' right hand in this sense. If he was going to be the next in command, Moses was going to pass the torch to Joshua. So as you see in Exodus, out of Exodus, Joshua leads the people along with Moses. Numbers, he's there with Moses. Hey, Miss Daisy, how you doing? How's everything? He's there with Moses. With in Deuteronomy, which Deuteronomy is just uh Moses going back over the law and everything. It is now he's just more like a farewell to everybody because he's not going to be going into the promised land. Joshua is taking everybody else into the promised land, but Moses is not going into the promised land with him. So Moses is giving everybody his farewell speech, and his speech is giving Joshua the opportunity to go ahead and go forth. So as we see, I don't have the date when it was written, but this is about. Mm, I'm not going to have to say. I'm going to have to give you the date next time when I come back on next Monday, the actual date, because I don't want to go off the top of my head. But I'm going to say it's more in the 19, maybe just about 20 something BC. Don't quote me on that, but it's around that. It's BC. It's in the BC, 20 BC, something like 20 something BC. So we see this part of this in the first part of chapter 2. Um, in chapter 2. Um, let me just make sure I'm in the correct spot I want to go to. Yes. So yes. In chapter 2. Well, actually, yes, chapter 2. God is telling Joshua that he's letting Joshua know that Moses is dead now. Moses has passed away. So Moses is dead. From what you have heard many times, God had went and buried Moses somewhere where nobody knows. And and God is now commanding Joshua to take the people across the Jordan, the wilderness, where Lebanon, over the great rivers, and the river Euphrates, um, and all the land of the Hittites. This is where they're going to have, and the Great Sea. This is where their territory is going to be, and towards setting he's giving them this territory, but he says towards the setting sun. So Joshua commands his other officers to kind of gather up the people, and he's going to send out a group of spies. He's going to send out two spies to go and sort of survey the land, to kind of survey the land. So what we're seeing here is what we're going to see here. He's sending out these two spies to go and see the land. Now it takes them about, I think the book mentions in the story, it mentions about 40 days for them to come back. Because you got to remember, everything they did, most of the time they walked to. They didn't have no BMW or no thing horse. It would still take them 2 to 3 days to get to wherever they were going and wherever they were doing whatever they were doing. So they had to be unnoticeable in what they were doing in this time. And when they get out there where they're at, and they're looking around and they're searching and they're seeing and they're observing the people and the point of entry or wherever they're going to come to in the area of these these various places. This is what they're going to do. So we want to do this. This is a courageous moment for a woman that's we're going to see what happens here. Um, so let's imagine being a spy in the midst of war. Let's imagine you're a spy in the midst of war. Okay, we're going to imagine that we're a spy in the midst of war, and we're trapped behind enemy lines. Your only hope, hope, your only hope is your only. Give me a second here. Oh, okay, I won't be able to do that right now. Your only hope. Your only hope is that you don't get caught by anybody. You don't get caught. You don't get caught by nobody. You don't get caught by. You don't get caught. You hope. Your only hope to escape lies in the hands of a brave woman who is now risking everything to help you. This is what you're going to be dealing with. Your hope is to get back to your commander or your platoon or your office, whoever you needed to get back to. But this hope only lies in this woman that is going to give the opportunity to put herself and her family or whoever else is with her in harm's way. And to say this may sound like a scene from a movie, but it actually is actually a powerful story from the Bible. And we've seen these kind of stories play out in real life outside of the Bible in the actual war settings where people say, yeah, we were I remember hearing somebody tell me that they were in a war, it was in the war, and that they were trapped behind them and a group of other people were trapped. And the only thing that was saving them were the people that were there because the people were moving them around as the army as the army was coming through, and they were like, okay, you got to go over here, you got to go over here, or hiding them down in little cubby holes where they can be safe. So that's what we see here. So in Joshua chapter 2, verse 21, verse 1 through 21. And I'm gonna read it. I'll probably read portions of it. This is what Rahab had done. When Joshua, the son of Nun, sent two men as spies secretly from Shittim, saying, go view the land, especially Jericho. So they went and entered the house of a prostitute whose name was Rahab and rested there. So what that is saying there, they rested there. Now we're going to stop there. Here he sent them. So now when you read that part, when they left, they had traveled, they got inside, they're inside the land and they're searching, but now they don't want to get caught. So they find this woman, Rahab, and they hide in her house. So they're hiding in her house and they enter into her house and they rest there. But it was told to the king of Jericho, saying, behold, men from the son of Israel have come here tonight to spy out the land. And the king of Jericho sent word to Rahab, saying, bring out the men who have come to you, who had entered your house, for they have come to spy out the land, to spy out all the land. So now we see, so you may ask, well, how did they know she was at Rahab's house? Well, somebody spotted them. Somebody had spotted them, and they knew now, oh my God, they have spotted us. So we need to hide. So now they know they are in Rahab's house. So they tell her, well, they at the prostitute's house. So we need to go there. He go there, and the king says, well, bring these men out, because they're here to spy. So also, how did they know they were here to spy? Well, sometimes it's the color, the how do they tell who is who is of what tribe and who is of who? Well, it's certain style of clothes you wear, or the head garments, or anything like that. There's various different things. Hey, Miss Lawson. Hey, Miss Taylor. How you doing? How you doing, Miss Taylor? Miss Taylor, Miss Lawson, Miss Daisy. How y'all doing? So the king is asking Rahab to bring the men out, because they came here to spy on us. And we see in verse 4, but the woman had taken the two men and hid them, and she said, yes, the men came to me, but I did not know where they were from. So when she's being deceitful in this part. She's being deceitful to them because she doesn't want to get caught with them in the house. Because if she gets caught in the house, she'll be labeled as a traitor to the people that she's with, the Hittites and them. She'll be a traitor to them. She can probably, her whole family could probably be killed. So she says, I did not know where they came from. So they came from. It came about when it was time to shut the gate at dark that the men went out. I do not know where the men went. So she's letting the king know. Hey, hey, Prophetess Dixon, how you doing? Shalom. She's letting the king know and his men know that she don't know where they are, but she does know because she has them hidden up in her roof, where they're covered with, I guess, straws and things like that. She's got them hidden inside the house. So she sends them on a wild goose chase. So and today's um, phrase will be a wild goose chase. So she says she did not know. She did not know when they went out. I did not know where the men went. Pursue them quickly, for you will overtake them. But so she's telling them, go this way, go to the river, or go wherever, and you will find them. And she had brought them up to the roof. The men that she brought up to the roof, the two spies, she took up to the roof. She took up to the roof and hid them in the stalk of flat. That's the area of the roof, the flat part of the roof. So they're up there among the straws and the flat parts of where the roof is, where they can hide. They can probably see her down there. They can probably peek down and see her, but they're hiding up there. And she says they're hiding in there, and the stalks and the flats. And she had laid in order on the roof. So she laid things over top of them so they wouldn't be noticed. So the men pursued. So now the king's men pursued them on the road to the Jordan. So they jumped back on the road, riding towards the Jordan to see to the crossing place of the Jordan River, where where the Jordan River is going to flow. If you get a map, if you try to get a much older map, let me see if I got one in here. I do have one in the on one of my other sheets, but that's the Dead Sea Scrolls. So I'm going to try to do it. I don't know if you're going to be able to see. I don't know if anybody will be able to see it here. Let me see. I'm trying to find it right here. So as you see, as your, let me see if I can get you right here. Oh, it's not. I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm sorry. It's not going to be able to do it. So, but if you get an older book, and you get a book. You look at the Jordan. You look at the book, and you'll be able to find. I thought I would be able to show it to you, but it's. I should have had the little thing. I think what I'm gonna try to do is get a photocopy of it, get a copy of it, and put it in the system so it can pop up for you when we need it. So they had pursued the men down to the crossing place, and as soon as those who were pursuing them had gone out, they shut the gate. So they closed the gate of the city so that they would be there locked in to this city. Hey, Lady Red, how you doing? How you doing? So they had locked the gate, so they're in. Now, before the spies lay down, she came up to them on the roof, and she said to them, to the men, she's talking to the spies now, I know that the Lord has given you the land, and that the terror of 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 you has fallen on us, and that all the inhabitants of the land have despaired because of you. Verse 10, for we have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea before you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to the two kings of the Amorites, who were beyond the Jordan, and Shihon and Og, whom you utterly destroyed. Verse 11, when we heard these reports, our hearts melted, and no courage remained in anyone any longer because of you. For the Lord your God, he is God in heaven above and on earth below. Now, verse 12. Now then, please swear to me by the Lord, since I have dealt kindly with you, that you also will deal kindly with my father's household and give me a pledge of truth. 13. And spare my father and my mother and my brother and my sister and all who belongs to them, and save our lives from death. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Miss Daisy, were any consequences of knowing where they were lying about? Hold on, let me see. I'll see what she says. Were there any consequences of knowing where they were lying about her not? No, the king of the king that was at Jordan, that was looking for him, the king, I'm sorry, at Jericho, the king of Jericho did not know she was lying. He thought she was telling the truth. So, because she said they were, see, the thing was, she said they were here, but she said, I did not know where they have come from. So I sent them off, and you can pursue them before they make the crossing. So the king went on to follow to follow to follow to follow them. So she was in the clear right now, and they don't know that they didn't know that they were lying up in the roof, because they didn't search her house. They just questioned her, and then they just left. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Miss Daisy. And deal with her household and make a pledge, and spares her father and brother and all that from them. So in 14, so the men said to her, our life for yours, if you do not tell this business of ours, and it shall come about when the Lord gives us the land, that deal kindly we will deal kindly faithful faithfully with you. So they're going to deal kindly with her faithfully. They're going to deal kindly with her. Okay. And then in 15, here's what happens in 15. Then she let them down by the rope through the window, for her house was on the city wall. So it was right by the wall where they can go right down. It was on the outside. Her house was her house was right by the wall, so she can let them out outside of the wall, so they can get out outside of the wall of Jericho. For her house was near the city wall, so that she was living on the wall. And she said to them, go to the hill, go to the hill county. Now, when they say the hill county, that means go to the hills where they get in the hills. They won't follow. They won't follow you. They won't follow you. This way, they may not follow them going that way, so that the pursuers will not encounter you. So the pursuers, the king, the Jericho king, he went one way. They're going in a different direction. So now they won't be able to follow them. She's saying this way they don't follow you, and you won't encounter them. You won't wind up crossing their path. And hide yourself there for 3 days. So she's telling them, stay there for 3 days. 3 days until the pursuers return. So they're out running around. They're going to come back. So you stay in the hill country. And when they come back in the gate after the third day, you can go ahead. You can go now. You can go where you got to go. And then after, you may go on your way. And the men said to her, we shall be exempt. I mean, we shall be exempt from this oath to you, which you have made us swear, unless when we come into the land, you tie this cord of scarlet thread in the window through which you let us down, and gather into your house your father, your mother, your brother, and all your father's household. And it shall come about that anyone who goes out of the door of the house outside will have his blood on his own head, and we will be innocent. But anyone who is with you in the house, his blood will be on our hands if a hand is laid on him. Okay, so I'm going to get to that part about there. But if you tell this business of ours, then we shall be exempt from the oath which you have made us swear. She then said, according to your word, so it be. So it be. So she sent them away, and they departed, and she tied the scarlet cord in the window. Now, that scarlet cord, remember, when they were leaving Egypt, and remember when there was when the plagues were happening, and then came the final plague in Egypt when they killed when God sent the angel of death. And when the angel of death came, he killed every firstborn. That means even an Egyptian, even anybody that was outside, if they were not inside where the doorposts were covered with blood, they would be killed. And even the firstborn animals were killed. So they're telling her, tie this in the window. We will not attack the house because we see this mark. But if you tell anybody of our business, then this will be, or then you're in other words, as you say, you're fair game. But also too, if she doesn't say anything to anybody and they come in to take the land and somebody from Joshua's camp lays a hand on that house, they would be guilty of, the blood would be on Joshua and them hands because they had an oath made. So it's just like in the movie, like sometimes we have territories in the day. Some of the gangs have territories, and sometimes if you know a gang member in that territory, you're going to see you going in that territory, but there's a person in there that you know, and you say that now the gang members come and they gather around you, and they like, "What you doing here?" And you say, "Well, I'm going to go see so and so sister." And they hear so and so sister, they hear the person, they didn't know who the person is, and they're part of their gang. They can't touch you. You're free to walk in. But if somebody decides, well, I don't care about who you know, I'm gonna now it's on their hands. So that's the kind of oath that they took. They took an oath that as long as she had that scarlet thing tied in the window because she was by the wall, they were free because she helped her. And as we look in here, this is not the only time. This various other times that we've seen this happen. But we also see in Joshua verse 4, it cross references with 2 Samuel 17 and 19, where Nathaniel and uh, Hazamaz, them two were also hidden by a woman who saved them so they can get a message to David. So David would cross back over the Jordan because he was out, you out doing what he was, whatever at the time with his army and his people doing what he was supposed to be doing, fighting. And they went to warn David not to stay on the other side of Jordan, but to come back on this side. And they were hidden by this woman, and then they were able to get him back across because they got to him in time, and because they had did this. That's one. And then also in Joshua 2 and 6, we also see a cross referencing to that too in the New Testament with James. In James, we see in James 2 and 2 and 2 and verse 23, and you can even add 26 in. That's where James, he's talking about Abraham. He first mentions Abraham and how Abraham was righteous in his belief with God and everything. And then James also is referring to Rahab and Joshua, what Rahab has done, and that she, by her faith, because she says, if you remember what I had read, she mentioning that she heard of the God of Israel and how the God of Israel is, and she made the confession that he is God of heaven and earth. And by that confession, puts a faith in there, and her works of hiding them gives her the faithfulness of the protection. And that's why James was mentioned in there. So as we look in Joshua, like I said, in Joshua 2 and 21, 1 and 20, I'm sorry, Joshua chapter 2, verse 1 and 21, we read about Rahab. Um, she, as we know, she's a prostitute in the city of Jericho. When these two Israelite spies came to her, the city came to her city. She took them and hid them from the king's men. Despite the danger to herself and her family, Rahab chose to help the spies and make a pact with them for their safety. Now that pact is a like an oath or a promise that I will do the things that I need to do. And this is what Rahab has done. Also, we see Rahab's actions. Her actions were not only courageous, but also a display of faith and truth in God. Because remember, she said that she said, we heard, the city heard, but they're not speaking to the whole city. They're just speaking to Rahab, and they're only hearing what Rahab heard. And Rahab says she believes in the power of the Israelite God and was willing to risk her life to follow his will. His will was for her to protect these these um these two spies. So by her following that will, she's also going to be protected from when they come to take the land. In return for her bravery, Rahab and her family were spared when the Israelites conquered Jericho. So you see, she is spared. It's not everybody. A lot of times people will read something in the Bible and they say, "Oh, well, God commanded everything and everything gets killed." But when you read further and further, not cherry pick certain things to make it sound good, we begin to see this. Um, as we see, I'm gonna go here. I want to go here. Let me see, 2 and 17. 2 and 17, verse 2. I mean, chapter 2 in Joshua, and verse 17. Let me see where 17 is so we can get there. I'm just going to try to get there. Okay, here we are in verse 17. And the men said to her, we shall be exempt from this oath to you which you have made us swear. Okay, so in 17 and in 17, in that verse, it cross references with Genesis 24 and 8. Now, you don't have to turn now. I'm going to turn there for you. And we're going to see what 24, Genesis 24 and 8. Who is in Genesis 24 and 8? You know, who are they talking about? Who was alive during that time? And most likely we're talking about Abraham's son, maybe Abraham's son, maybe is maybe it's Canaan. 24 and 8. So 24 and 8. So 24 and 8. Where we at? Where are you? 8. Where's verse 8 here? Okay. So let me go up to verse 7. The Lord, okay, I'm going to verse 7. I'm in Genesis 24. This is a bride for Isaac, is basically what it's basically talking about Isaac. In Isaac in a sense. We're looking at, well, actually, let's go back a little bit. Let's go to verse 5. The servant said to him, suppose the woman is not willing to follow me to this land. Should I take her son back to the land from where you came? This is Abraham. Then Abraham said to him, beware that you do not take my son back there. The Lord, the God of heaven, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my birth, and who spoke to me and who swore to me, saying, to your descendants, I will give this land. He will send his angels ahead of you, and you will take a wife for my son from there. And verse 8 it says, but if the woman is not willing to follow you, then you will be free of this oath of mine. Only do not take my son back there. So we see that during in Genesis there was another time where Abraham was told to leave, and he will say, well, you want me to take this woman? What if the woman doesn't want to leave with me? Well, if she doesn't want to leave with you, you don't have the woman you don't have to follow this oath, but don't take my son back with you. Don't take my son back with you. Don't take my son back to that land. You keep my son where he belongs. Okay, right here with me. You don't take my son back. Um, so when Israel had done this, Rahab's story is just one of many examples of great women in the Bible who show incredible strength and courage and faith. Let's look at, we also, good evening, Mama Charlene. Good evening, Mama Charlene. We also see from Esther, who risked her life to save her people. As Esther risked her life, she wound up being a queen when I think, if I'm not mistaken in the story, I have to kind of reread the story, but I believe she was a queen, and she stepped out there to save her people, because the king liked her, but she had to step out on faith and try to save her people. So that's what she did. She saved her people. Also, to Mary, the mother of Jesus, remember, she was supposed to be with Joseph, and Joseph, she has a belly, and Joseph never touched her. So Joseph never touched her. So what happens is now um she can be stoned, but what Joseph do? The angels come to Joseph, tell Joseph that the child she's carrying is not yours, but the child she's carrying is holy, and you must protect her. So Joseph sends her away so that she won't get stoned. And then when she go to Egypt, where she is, because the king, the emperor, um, um, oh my God, what's his name? Herod, the emperor Herod, he's looking for the baby Jesus, because during that time they don't, we ain't having no other king grow up in here and attacked us. That's the same thing that when when the Hebrews were multiplying in Egypt, when Joseph was what next to the Pharaoh, he was like next in command next to the Pharaoh. He was a big man in the Pharaoh's house, and he had the Pharaoh's ear. But when Joseph died and the other Pharaoh died and this new Pharaoh comes, he says, hey, wait a minute, they're multiplying. They can come and attack us. They can join up with our enemies and attack us. So we're gonna put stiff wages, stiff things on them so that they can't attack us. And that's what we see in here. So she could have been stoned. Mary could have been stoned. Who accepted God's plan for her life with humility and grace. She accepted this plan, that what God had designed for her. Uh, that's good. Everybody's doing fine. I'm glad everybody's doing fine. These women serve as powerful role models for us all. We have many, even in today's society, we have many women that are role models and that have done various great things through society, from all backgrounds. It's just that we must take the opportunity and the time to search them out for ourselves. We have many of them. We have women who have broke boundaries of playing professional golf when women didn't play golf. We had women who became business owners at a time when women could not be business owners, and sit in a boardroom and make decisions with other men. We didn't during these times, women at some in those times, women did not have those type of status that they have now, owning a business, excuse me, and running a business that they did as women do now. They didn't have that. It was very rare that you would see that. Even even when we get to the 1800s AD, same thing, very small things, but we see women, courageous women. We see normal women. We see normal women that are police officers that do courageous things, even in our life. We may not hear about it, but they do. We have women in that fight in the army now. We have women pilots that fly planes now. What's her name? Mira. Mira Earhart, I think it's her last name. Flew a plane, but she disappeared. Her plane disappeared, but she's very well known. Um, First, a lady that ran before Hillary ran president president was Shirley Chisholm, just a black Congress lady who was, if I'm not mistaken, in that 1960s, 1970s, she was I think a nominee, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on it, but she did have a moment of running for president. So there are things that we look at, women, and then we have a woman on the ticket as a vice president, along next to Kamala Harris, who was considered our first female president, vice president. I mean, we had another female. Her name was Flora, but she was a thing. So we have a majority of women that are significant. So even in the Bible, we see women we even see women that play a significant role, as Mary did. And also we have to look at Mary Magdalene. She probably played the role because she was the one who came to the tomb and saw that Jesus had rose and heard, hey, go tell them that I'm I've risen. And she went back and told the disciples, he's risen. And this is what it is that when we read the Bible, we need to understand who are all these models of people there. Paul had two women that were, he called, I forget, I don't have their names in front of me, but they were people who were his, like his right hand his right hand, there was some that took notes, and where he told them when they went there, I think it's Leda, she went to one of the churches, and he said, treat her as this as though if I was there. She was, if I'm not mistaken, they considered her, yeah, I think he mentioned, don't quote me now, I think it's mentioned as a deaconess, but you would have to go and read. I think it's in Acts. It's in the later part of Acts. I think Acts. It's in the later part of Acts. No, way in I think either Acts or way in Romans. She goes to, I think, Corinthians, the Church of Corinthians. I think it's the Church of Corinthians she goes to, and he tells the people, "Hey, you take care of her because she has helped me in my times of struggle." So we have these women that have played roles: Deborah, Esther, Naomi, Naomi. These all played the role. The woman who washed Jesus's foot, his feet. We do not know her name. A lot of time people associate her with Mary Magdalene, but it wasn't Mary Magdalene. It wasn't Mary. A lot of people associated with Mary Magdalene, but from what I researched so far, it's not Mary Magdalene as she was, because they don't call her name in the Bible. They just say a woman. So a lot of people associated with Mary Magdalene, and Jesus says, "Leave." Remember when they were mentioning about the oil, because it was very expensive oil, and they said, well, we could sell this and get money to pay the poor. And he said, leave her alone. She is doing what she must. She is doing what God is willing her to do. So what basically also what James was saying is that through Rahab's faith, for her hearing about God, about what he can do and what he was able to do and all that he has done, she now believes in that he is the God of heaven and earth. And that if I help these spies that are coming here to take the land and everything, if I help them, they can save me, my family, my father, my brother, my sister, and all the household. So if I make them make an oath, they can save us. So she hangs. That's why she hung that thing out the window. And do you think it's funny how these spies wound up going to her house, where her house was actually by the wall, where they would be able to see the 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 scarlet, the scarlet. They'd be able to see that scarlet. It's funny how the house they would pick her house specifically. It's God's plan. It's his plan. He already had mapped it out. As we read in earlier parts of the book, I will go ahead. I will send the angels ahead to map out things for you that I put before you. We can even probably look at things today that God has mapped things out for our lives, and that he's already sent the angels out ahead for the journeys that we're going through. And we run into various things and various people, and they come back to us. So, in here, so as we reflect on the story of these great women, let us remember that God uses ordinary people to do extraordinary things. So, like I said, we have women in this Bible that's going to do when we go in more reading. Oh, let me grab this here. Excuse me. I just want to make sure I have this close by me. When we go in more reading about these women, because I've already written most of them down. When we read about Esther, when we read about her, Esther, when we read about Esther, when we later, when we read about later, and I like Acts 16. We read about her who was with Paul. Um, who else I have here? Um, who I didn't get to. Ruth and Naomi. When we read about Ruth and Naomi, I didn't get to Deborah in the book of Judges. Deborah, who was a judge. Wasn't that Lazarus' sister that washed Jesus's feet? Miss Stacy, I'm gonna say that's a good question, but from what I kept looking around, I didn't see them say it was her. There probably is some that say it was her. There are some probably may say it was her, but there was one thing I was kind of reading and listening to that they were talking about Mary Magdalene, the story of Mary Magdalene, and they said she was not, they equated her to that person, but they never identified who she was. I don't think there are some scholars that may say it was Lazarus' sister. There's some scholars that may say no, it wasn't. Some may say it's Mary Magdalene. But what I'll do tonight, I will look up more into that part to find it out for you and give you an answer. Matter of fact, I'll give you an answer tomorrow when we're on Lady Red's live. I'll give you an answer tomorrow, but I'll look more into it. But that's what I realized. Even the funny thing with Mary Magdalene, I was reading about just so you know, because we didn't touch on Mary Magdalene, but the Pope Gregory, if I'm not mistaken, Pope Gregory was the one who put Mary Magdalene as a prostitute, and she was not a prostitute. He's the one who, because they later on reestablished her through the church. She was coined as a prostitute. Because sometimes I do look at other books outside of the Bible to see if they kind of coincide and get an understanding of why some of them are not in the Bible, the 60s. If, like I said before, if you have the 66 books, that's what they call the Protestant Bible. If you have if you go to the Catholic Bible, they have 73 books in there. And if you go get if you find the Ethiopian Bible, you'll have 81 or 88 books out there. But to answer your question once again, that's kind of like I think it's been a debate going on. I think I looked that part up, but I'm going to look it up again for you and I'll get you an answer by tomorrow. Okay, I hope that's fair. Yeah, but we also see that God uses ordinary people. He doesn't use perfect people. He uses people that are just ordinary. Like I said, we have some people who are ministers, become pastors. They've been pastoring since they were 6 years old. Saying the word all the way through 6 years old. And then we have some like myself who was late in their years, and all of a sudden you stepping in front of in a pulpit, and you're online now preaching and teaching the people, and you're like, well, I never planned to do this, but that's how God works His will and get His message across. He used ordinary people, just like any one of you. Y'all may one day turn around and wind up starting a live and start teaching and ministering to people. And who's to say you're not supposed to do that? Well, God is the one who who's put it in the will, put it in his will that this is what you're going to, this is what this person is going to do. This is what I have already written for you. So for Joshua, and he told Joshua after Moses had died, he let Joshua know that I'm going to be with you. You're not going to be alone. I'm going to be with you. You're going to go across the Jordan. That's why he let Joshua know Moses is dead. I'm going to command you to go across it, but you send two people, you send spies out to go and check the land and check everything. And that's what he did. He grabbed his his um his council together, spoke to his council, and sent two spies out. He had to figure out who the best two spies that can go out there and really survey the land and get me the information I need. And as we say, get me the data for the people back then and bring it back to me. And so that's what he did. That's what Joshua did. Joshua followed God's rule. But it's like I said, it's funny. They're going through the town. I think there was a part in here where somebody did see them and they went to Rahab's house and hid in her house. But it's funny how her house just happens to be right next door to the thing. Let me see. My grandson just Googled it for me. Mary of Bethany, his sister. Okay. All right then. All right. It's Mary of Bethany. It's funny that they didn't say it, and I don't think it mentions. I think it says she 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 washed his feet, but it doesn't say. It says a woman, I think. But it depends on what version you got. But I still look it up again, and I'm glad he glad. Oh, so your grandson he Googled it. Oh, that's great. That's good. Now your grandson learned something too. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy. He he learned something now. Now tell him to always remember that. Okay, tell him to remember that. All right. Um, but it's good. It's good. It's always good for us to learn certain things. I mean, I would never tell anybody I know everything that's in this book, and if I tell you I know everything frontwards and backwards, I'd be lying to you. I've heard some pastors say that I know stuff frontwards and backwards. No, I'm going to have to read this book 3, 4, 5 times. Man, I'll probably be in my 80s and still be reading the book. And I still won't know everything. So there are some things I know, some things I still have to look, some things I may be able to say I believe, but don't quote me. Like you see, I always say, don't quote me on it, but you'll probably go and see, well, you'll probably see, oh yeah, Pastor Matthews he was pretty much close to what he was. I kind of see where he was talking, but he was off. But I know they did say it was a woman, and some, like I say, they say different things. They always study with me. Oh, that's great. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear. It's good they study with you. Hey, Prophetess Ella, how you doing? How you doing? Um, yeah. So I got like about a half an hour because I didn't want to keep everybody till 10:30. That'd be too late. That's why I may be able to push it back to maybe be able to move it up to 8 o'clock. Triumphant. Thank you, Dr. Lewis. I may be able to move it up to 8 o'clock where we'll have more time. Because I didn't know how long the meeting that I was in would last, and so that's why I say 8:30. But I see my meeting doesn't last too long, so I'm gonna have them probably move it up to 8 o'clock from now. From next Monday, it'll be 8 o'clock, so we can have our full 2 hours. Um, yeah, so that is he uses ordinary people for us to do extraordinary things. We may not all be called to risk our lives in the way that Rahab, the way that she did, but we can still demonstrate courage and faith in our everyday lives. So just think about this. Um, Rahab risked everything in helping these men. And in our everyday lives that we live today, how can we demonstrate the courage and the faith that she did in our everyday lives? Well, some of the courage and the faith is us stepping out and helping somebody that we don't know. Maybe you know some people. Here are some people. This is what some people do. We have people that are on dialysis, and they're sitting there 3, 4, 5, 6 years, 10 years, waiting on a list for a kidney. And a lot of times it's the only way they want. Some of them wind up getting a kidney is when somebody else dies, and they match that person that died. But then they have a person who takes the step of faith and says, you know what, I'm gonna give a kidney to a stranger. I'm going to go and get tested to give my kidney to a stranger. And that's a step of faith, because you don't know what's going to happen. You're going to go into an operating room. You're going to take your kidney out, both of your kidneys. One of your kidneys is coming out of your body. So you're only going to have one kidney, and give it to another person that you don't know, that you have no knowledge of who they are, so they can have a better life. That takes a lot of courage. That takes a lot of faith, whether you're a man or a woman. And a lot of times we have people who their loved ones pass away, and they're sitting there, and they pick up their driver's license, or they open up the will, and the will says, well, donate my body to science, or give give my body parts to people who need it. And instead of you being selfish, it takes a lot of courage, because you're going through a lot of traumatic emotions. And then you say, well, I'm gonna, you call up the foundation, hey, here, or you donate the person's body so that the doctors and all those that are involved can find a cure for cancer, find a cure for this, and they can do scientific things, maybe find out how they can put a bone heal, get a person's bone to heal, you know, how people can learn to operate, how the system works, how the body works. So it's a lot of things that take a lot of courage, because during that time when a person loses a loved one, they don't want to hear nothing else from anybody. They just want to hear, what it is. And it takes a lot of courage. And in our lives, that's what we have to do. Some of us make the choice, some of us don't. So whether it is standing up for what is right, helping those in need, or simply trusting in God's plan for our lives, I'm sorry, we can all make a difference in the world around us. We can all make a difference. I'm on here. I don't never, I sit here and I can say, I'll never be out there on mega television and have a mega church. I may be sitting online for 20 years. So be it. But the courage is getting in front of a camera and speaking to people I don't know, people I ain't ever seen. My good friend, Dr. Lewis, he better have himself in the studio on Wednesday. But me and him, we have discussions and stuff. We talk, and it's very encouraging, because he asked me one day, would I mind reading, bringing a scripture for his event. Then another time he asked me bring a scripture for his event, and I did. The first time it was a little shaky there, but I got through it. The second time it was good, and it's a little different. Everything is a little different. Even Pastor Rick, when he asked me to speak in front of his church, that was different for me. That was a little different for me. So we have it there. We all have things that we can do within our lives to make things better. My good friend, prophetess Ella, she has a morning prayer group that I get on, and sometimes I get on there. I don't try to speak. I just listen to her, and listen to her friends. And she has an evening one too. She has something. She has a thing in the evening. I think almost every week she has her prayer thing every week, and just to listen to her, her pray and preach and everything. And prophetess Dixon too. She has a Saturday morning prayer group, prayer line. I mean, she gets on there every Saturday morning. She does her prayer. So we all have a role to play. And the two women that I just mentioned, they play their role. That's their role that God written out for them, and they follow that to the T. And my thing is they come on here, and it's my obligation that when I see them, it's to point them out. Yes. And people know that when they come on here, hey, that's prophetess Ella. Go to look her up, and that's prophetess Dixon. So now when you go online and you see them names, you say, oh yeah, they were Pastor Matthews. They're good people, and that's what this is. We're good in this way. The same with Dr. Albert Lewis, Gospel Hour. He does a gospel show. It depends on where you're located. And his is syndicated. That's 132. He's got 132, 30. I think 100. He says 132 countries that he's in. So it's syndicated. He has Boston, East Orange, Newark, things like that. So it's good. We do all kinds of things, and that's why we say God uses ordinary people. Ordinary people. So in this, let us be inspired by the example of Rahab. That's for all you women. Let us be inspired by Rahab and the other great women of the Bible. So when we get to the other great women, I want y'all to include that. Let us strive to live with the same courage, faith, and devotion to God that they did. So I want all of us to really always move with courage, always move with faith, always have your devotion um, in everything that you do. When you're no matter what, when you're doing things, have your devotion, have your faith. And like I said, I go out, I leave out. Uh, I have faith that I'm always going to return back home. But then the day I don't return back home, I'm not going to worry too much, because I know that when I left, that was God's plan. That no, you're not going to go back this time. Your job here, your plan that I had you here for, you're finished. You've done everything that I needed you to do. And that's what we do. That's sometimes what we're here for. We're here to help each other, to help each other grow, help each other move through this thing that we call life the best we can. And that's what we're here for. And once we are finished, once we do what he has planned us to do, then he calls us home, because we have finished what we were supposed to do. So let us keep that devotion. And let us trust that he will always be with us, guiding and protecting us as we seek to follow his will. So that's why I say that, because as long as we follow his will, he's guiding us, he's protecting us, he's making sure that we're all good. in our lives. Um, may we have the courage to be. May we have the courage. May we have the courage to be like Rahab, risking everything for the sake of others and trusting in God's plan for our lives. And may we never forget the powerful example of the great women of the Bible who continue to inspire us with their strength and faith. Amen. So, like I said, with these women of the Bible, as we go forth with these women of the Bible, and I'm going to let you know March 9th. So March 9th, we were supposed to be in Naomi. So next Monday, we will be in the book of Ruth. We'll be reading Ruth. And this is for next Monday. Ruth will be chapter, let me see, Ruth, chapter 1, verse 16 and 17. And then we're also going to look at chapter 3, verse 3 and 9. I'm just giving you the different verses that I'm going to be looking at. But we're going to be in chapter 1. You can read chapter 1, chapter 3, and chapter 4. But when you read those chapters, I want you to home in chapter 1, home in on verse 16 and 17. In chapter 3, I want you to home in on verses 9 and 13. And in chapter 4, I want you to home in on 13 and 17. And when you do that, I want you to ask yourself these questions in this. Who is in those verses? Who is talking? Where is it at? When did it happen? Why is it happening? And who is it happening to? So when you ask these questions, you'll get more of your answer and you'll be able to come out with your understanding. When you read the entire chapter, you can ask those questions. Who is talking here? When did it happen? Where did it happen? What is happening? And why it is happening? I meant to say those are the 5 things I want you to ask when you're reading it. Saturday book Bible. When we go into the Saturday book Bible study, I want to give you that information. We'll be in chapter 4 in the book of Hebrews. We'll be in chapter 4, verse 3 through 10. So if you have the opportunity and you want to read up on Hebrews, we're going to be in chapter 4 for a couple of weeks. So you can go through the entire chapter 4 and you can read on that. But we're going to be in the book of Ruth next week on next Monday. So it's been great. I will put the new time to move the new time up a little because we have more time to go back with our full hour time. Our time going forward. But I want to thank each and every person that came on tonight. Thank you all for sharing the opportunity with me and letting me, as I say, come into my home and letting me video into your space and taking your time out of your day to come and join me in every Monday. If you come every Monday, if you come every Saturday, if you come every Sunday, I want to thank you and I appreciate it 100%. I love each and every one of you wholeheartedly. My heart goes out to you. I pray for each and every one of you each and every morning that I wake up, that you be blessed each and every day as you go forth. With that being said, I'm going to say I will be. We got. Oh, I got. Oh, so I can see. I got 6 minutes left here. So, is there anything anybody want to? I got still got 6 minutes left. With that 6 minutes, we can. If you have any questions? Uh, good evening, Ms. Hunter. Ms. Hunter, you got here a little late. Better late than never. Better late than never. If you have any questions, you can ask. But I'm gonna look at that. Um, yes, thank you. So if anybody got any questions about tonight's topic on Rahab, any questions on Rahab? I got like 6 minutes. I'm gonna, you know what? Next Monday, I'm gonna shorten it so that we can have a good maybe 15, 20 minutes of question and answer times. That's okay, Miss Hunter. I'll just make sure I shoot you just like I did Miss a couple few other people, shoot you a text, shoot you a email to let you know that I'm going live. At least 20, 30 minutes before I come on, so that way whatever you're doing, you already know I'm going live that day. And okay, I'm going live at that time, no problem. I know it's hard because y'all got busy lives. Everybody got busy lives, and sometimes I have to like say, hey, I can't do it tonight. Let me put the last minute notice in there, But it's all good. So you don't have any questions for tonight. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a note that we're gonna at least do 20, maybe a 20-minute, uh, like a question and answer period to have a little question and answer period. You can send some questions and answer period up there. Maybe you see how I can shorten some things up, and we do a little question and answer period so that we can do that on the Monday night service. Even also on Saturday too. I'm going to do the same thing. So we're gonna move that. So we'll have a little question and answer period. Maybe maybe up to 20 to 30 minutes before we close out. So we'll have a good moment of that. So y'all can ask some questions and answers because I begin to see that I'm going all the way almost completely closed, and then there may be some questions and answers. But if you do have any questions or any questions that you would like to ask, you can send me an email to at Minister Matthews at yahoo.com, and I'll get you the answer out, or just send it to the prayer text line, and I'll send you the answer as well through there too. Some people do send me messages through there too. It's no big deal. With that being said, I'd have to say I'm going to say good night to each and every one of y'all. May y'all have a blessed day. I'll see y'all tomorrow night, and let me double check something. Second week, second Thursday. Okay, yes, I'll see you tomorrow night at Lady Red's Bible study. We're in Proverbs 24, 24 and 25 tomorrow night. Okay, I'll see y'all then.